All right, here we go. So, Nick, good to be back on with you. Excited. I guess today's topic is going to be retail. Of course, we always put the retail spin on things, but it really focused on AI, generative AI, predictive AI. What's new in retail? What's revolutionizing the retail industry as it relates to AI? And so I'm going to talk about what some of the industry leaders are doing with that. I'm going to talk about Amazon. I'm going to talk about Walmart. I'm going to talk about eBay and what they're doing to really leverage AI specifically. And, hopefully that can shed some light on what's new, what's happening that's new in retail, both e-commerce and brick and mortar, to address your question about generative AI. And then, once you've generated the content with generative AI, kind of the next step of that is predictive AI to do a lot more than just recommending AirPods to go along with an iPhone.
So, how is AI being used today to make decisions based on data?
Data is underlying in all of the major retailers' platforms, their customer data, their prospect data. And I would call this more of a walled garden where each of these retailers, whether it be Walmart or Amazon, have a walled garden of all that data and their own internal proprietary systems. And because of that, they're able to do a lot of things with it, not just with consumer data, but with supplier data. Take Walmart, for example. Walmart is using AI-powered chatbots, which are literally transforming the industry as far as how supplier negotiations are done. The procurement process I'm talking about, it's more cost effective, and the corporate buyers just frankly don't have the time to work with the sheer number of suppliers that Walmart deals with, vendors of record at Walmart. And they're able to use, historical trends, competitor pricing, material costs to calculate fair prices from suppliers with this chatbot. There was a real interesting Harvard Business Review article about how Walmart is revolutionizing this part of the industry with this chatbot powered by AI intelligence and software. So that's a real interesting example. I mean, I remember when flew out to Bentonville, Arkansas, sold Walmart my product that I invented way back in the day. It was a whole process of meeting with the buyer, becoming a vendor of record, going through a Walmart approved distributor to fulfill the goods across all the country. Anyway, that's real interesting that they're now able to spend more time with their most important suppliers and really make sure that those negotiations are the focus, is how Walmart is using AI. Let's have a look at, let's take Amazon, for example. Amazon is known for having a what they call a recommendation engine. And Amazon uses AI-driven recommendations to drive sales and improve on their user satisfaction. So generative AI also is able to then take that data, anticipate their clients' future needs and preferences. Talk about personalization, using data for personalization, and all these features are a driving force behind why Amazon is able to offer such an enhanced shopping experience. So Amazon, for some time, as a giant in the industry, has been providing recommendations of products and strategies for their online stores. They've had this AI technology really with early algorithms that are able to analyze the items that are posted by users and determine shopping preferences of individual customers. And they've used both AI and then as a part of that machine learning as well. And this proprietary technology is responsible for all of the various analysis and data that they're able to capture along the way with it to improve the shopping experience. So that's well above and beyond the standard e-commerce recommendations. The example of uh, bought an iPhone and recommending, various other accessories, AirPods, for example, to go with it.
It's very interesting to hear about how two of the largest retailers are using AI. Tell me a bit more about how this technology is being used in e-commerce today.
Let's take another segment of the market, talking about, the higher end luxury segment of the market, beauty, for example, as a category. AI is being used in Google's actual generative AI solution for this use case, virtual try-ons. And Google has now a wide selection of real models to show how clothes look using generative AI on all different shapes and sizes. Real models from very small to very large and representing a number of different skin tones and ethnicities. And this feature is available for brands that are wanting to show something a little bit more than a particular garment, how that might look on their customer. A little bit more than the more rudimentary way of doing this, just picking from like small, medium, or large, but really making it specific to the consumer. So a lot being done with virtual try-ons, Sephora, another example with their virtual beauty bar that they do, and then incorporating augmented reality to show, different shades of lipstick or whatever it may be on yourself using your cell phone by bringing in AR and seeing what that shade of lipstick might look like on a particular consumer. So, there's some examples of some cutting edge technology incorporating AI, and hopefully that helps to show some real world scenarios where AI is making an impact, and of course, underline the power of data behind it all.
Yeah, I think those examples are definitely going to be helpful for our listeners to hear about. And it's amazing to think about the vast amounts of data points that are being leveraged for actually executing these solutions. Can you give some real world examples of how independent software vendors are partnering with AI tech to drive e-commerce revenue?
We've talked about some of the larger retailers, the biggest in brick and mortar, Walmart, the biggest in e-commerce, Amazon. And I like that we're kind of pivoting into talking about, really the tip of the spear when it comes to the tech, the technology that's built by entrepreneurs, independent software vendors, ISVs. And a lot of these companies, smaller companies, small to mid-sized businesses are partnering with AI tech to drive e-commerce revenue. Take flow code, for example. Read an interesting article about how flow code, if you're not familiar with them, they do those round QR codes, not a square one, a round one. It performs better than square, apparently. And they're taking these QR codes out to AI experiences. One example I just talked about in answering your last question, Sephora and their virtual beauty bar using augmented reality also is blending in AI. So they are flow code is the QR code that drives out to the AR experience. And then once you get to that experience, there's augmented reality that's happening on a cell phone. One of those providers is Modiface that's offering something that's a really sounds like technical term, something called convolutional neural network. Convolutional neural network. And what that is it's an AI technique that can look at examples of a vast array of images and learn from them to identify the characteristics from that image that it's never seen before. How to demonstrate that particular try on that lipstick on that particular consumer. So that's pretty interesting.
It's really amazing how they're using AI technology in order to enable virtual try-ons. Uh, Tell us about a few more of these innovative examples.
There's a few more examples that I want to talk about for AI software that's helping the retail industry. And those I want to feature from the Salesforce App Exchange. These are independent software vendors, ISVs out there on the Salesforce App Exchange. They're working with what's called system integrators, SIs. So the independent software vendors, ISVs, are working with SIs, system integrators, to work with brands and work with retailers and do that implementation. And that's really how the ecosystem works. And there are vendors that are out there on the Salesforce App Exchange, these ISVs, independent software vendors that are offering solutions to drive e-commerce using AI. So let's look at a few of those. First of all, Systema AI. And what they're doing is Sistema AI is using a self-serve user interface UI that retailers can apply to their own merchandise logic, and it optimizes their marketing and their merchandising objectives. There's dashboards, there's analytics. It's a real true software. Sistema Control Center helps customers understand the benefit of true AI and the metrics to better understand their businesses through these dashboards and reports and insights. And that, at the end of the day, helps to grow revenue, leveraging the power of AI to transform the e-commerce performance, but then the proprietary AI aspects of this particular ISV that learns and optimizes performance, constantly testing, constantly offering better offers to each consumer based on their behavior. And, doing that at lightning speed, offering these SKUs, billions of SKUs at times, and then coming to a quick recommendation for that particular consumer based on all of this data. What's the best offer, the best product for each individual customer at that particular time? Next, let's look at Amplience AI, another independent software vendor on the Salesforce App Exchange. And what this is all about is the content, the CMS, content management system powered by AI, but it's built for shopping. So they have, AI generated optimized digital assets that are of a library of assets. And you think about advertising where you have all these assets for ads, but being able to assemble those at lightning speed for content that's relevant within your CMS, content management system, is a real big avenue for AI. Generating this, optimizing it, A/B testing, which one is better, optimizing it based on performance, previewing it, and doing this at scale to help sell more. So there's a couple that are pretty interesting. How about a third one? Session AI. Session AI actually predicts purchase intent, and they do that within 5 clicks. You think about an online web form, there are progressive web forms, but they're providing each visitor, individual visitor to a website with the right offer, and that's being done quickly in real time. I think that's one of the biggest aspects that I see as a common theme across all these different AI solutions is just have the lightning speed that all this is taking place that fast is really kind of an underlying advantage to incorporating AI. And that's also really important in this cookieless world that we are headed into, with all the personal identifiable information, PII, and working with unique identifiers. You have to incorporate behavior and lookalikes, categories, if you will, of certain consumers to get as refined as you can with personalization. But this is a company that Session AI that really helps with the prediction part of it. When a visitor arrives at a website, AI observes sort of the events pattern of what they're doing on that website. And then within those 5 clicks, they're able to build out a model from, billions, literally billions of past sessions, and then predict the likelihood that that visitor is going to complete the purchase. So this prediction model uses a lot of different things to, predict that purchase from that visitor and categorize them as likely to buy, on the fence, unlikely to buy, and then delivering action in real time to engage with that visitor and hopefully close the transaction today or down the road. So that's an example of one ecosystem. There's lots of those ecosystems out there. There's HubSpot, there's Microsoft, all these CRMs that host these app exchanges for these really innovative independent software vendors that are blending an AI into their solutions and then helping brands and retailers as they offer those solutions to integrate with Salesforce.com and just be an extension fully integrated within their Salesforce system.
Thanks for those examples from the Salesforce App Exchange. By the way, I like hearing about the whole landscape and hearing about how it all works together, with the ISVs partnering with the SIs to deliver all this technology. One thing I've seen out there is AI generated influencers on social media and showing images of influencers who aren't actually real people, with various brands being featured by them. So I wonder about the transparency of this, as in what's real and what isn't. So can you talk a little bit about the high level transparency of it all?
Yeah, that's a very, I guess, important topic as far as the news and the media is concerned. What about the ethics of it all? And I think that, retailers and brands are still realizing, what works, what doesn't work. eBay had a shop bot that was helping consumers and providing, recommendations, and it was one of the top ones in the industries. But even they were having false positives, and launched that with a lot of hype to do personalized shopping for consumers. And now they're no longer offering that shop bot, offering other ways with customer service to enhance the experience, and not, have the scenario where it's throwing a user in a loop with a shop bot over and over again, and they can't get to that real live person that they want to speak with. So yeah, I think that, retailers are always learning as they're incorporating AI. I think that, at a high level, making sure that there's not bias in, how questions are framed, making sure that there's fairness in the AI algorithms. These are all built by people, so people are going to make mistakes. But retailers need to be aware of the potential for bias in AI and kind of take steps to mitigate that through testing and getting feedback from consumers.
That's interesting how eBay is rethinking things as it relates to AI and the user's experience.
Ensuring transparency is another, I think, important factor, especially as brands are trying to be more transparent and talk about, the importance of combining the efforts of humans and machines in developing a responsible AI roadmap. That's really important. Consumers, especially the younger demographic, care about that. But my parents, the older demographic, do as well. All they are, hearing on the news is about, AI is going to take over the world, and what's going to happen. There's a little bit of an unknown there. So I think that continuing to push the envelope, leverage AI. It's definitely the future, but also while nurturing transparency, cultivating trust as retailers and brands have trusted, and that's more important now than ever, consumer bases, and then managing, mitigating the risk as new things are rolled out and what's working at the end of the day, what's driving revenue and providing the best possible experience. I think that comes about by these independent software vendors, leaders with the technology evolving as they get into the bigger brands, the bigger retailers, and also, being transparent about those partnerships and, they're being all woven together with the system integrators. And as that continues to evolve, continues to expand, the retailers and brands need to keep that in mind to be careful with maybe going a little too fast and taking things out in waterfall like stages, just like a developer would. So hopefully that's helpful to address at a high level the ethics of it all. And hopefully that this podcast has been eye-opening with some, big retailer examples, some cutting-edge independent software vendor examples, and then sort of taking a step back and remembering the ethics of it all has been helpful as you look at AI in retail and how AI has been, is going to continue to revolutionize the industry. It'll be fun to see what comes next.
As always, good stuff. Thanks again, Preston, for your perspective. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Merchant Matrix podcast. And check out matrixplace.com, the place to go for all your digital sales and marketing consulting needs. matrixplace.com.